What is going on, YouTube? This is Obscure Thoughts back with some more info for you guys. Another topic. Today's topic is gonna be revolved around the next generation of consoles, being the PS5 and the Xbox Series X and S. That being whether to go discless or disc for your purchase. I've seen a lot of controversy kind of around this topic. Well, I wouldn't even really call it controversy, but it's definitely a debate. And there's two sides of it, obviously. There's the people who are for having a disk drive, and there's the people who are against it, or not even against it, they don't care for it. And I think this brings us to a very interesting point in the video game console timeline, as Xbox tried to do something similar, not really with a disk drive, but full digital for the Xbox One, if I remember correctly. And there was a big, pushback against it. Nobody wanted it. So I find it interesting now that that is the choice for a lot of gamers, right? And there are pros to cons to both. I think the biggest being, we'll start for the PS5. That's pretty easy because the console is the exact same minus the disc drive. Being the price point, $399 versus $499 is a difference, $100. That's not just chump change. Well, to some it is. It's all relative. But if you're a kid, elementary, middle, high school, whatever, and for Christmas you want a new console, you're gonna ask for the $399 version, right? Because it's cheaper and it's gonna sound sweeter on the ears to your parents, right? So, hey mom, I want the PS5 for Christmas. There's two versions. If you get the discless version, it's $100 cheaper. So, I think there's definitely a target, not a target audience. There is a market for it, or they wouldn't have even produced it, right? Looking at the trends for digital sales over the past 10 years, digital sales have gone up each year. Less people are buying disc copies. I think it just depends on where you, not necessarily value what you value, but it's all just preference, right? So I think the price point for the discless PS5, I think it would be a bit better if it was like $350, $349.99 to really make it a clear difference, right? At $399 and $499, the only difference is disc drive. So is that really much of a difference? I don't know. It just depends on what you value. For me, my PS4 and soon to be PS5 was going to be my media hub, right? And believe it or not, I still watch DVDs and Blu-rays and stuff. Not all the time, but every now and then. There's some stuff that you won't find on streaming services that, oh shit, I do have that on Blu-ray or whatever. I'm gonna pop that in. So for me, it's worth the extra $100. I also am still into buying video games, right? So, well, the physical copies. Personal preference, right? There's no big difference between the two. I think spending the extra $100 just for the option to watch stuff or pop stuff in for my PS4, because I have a pretty decent collection of PS4 games that I want to play still. So it's all just a matter of preference and the price point. As far as the Xbox, I'm not now. What's interesting here is with the Xbox Series S being $299 and the Xbox Series X being $499, there is a really big price difference between the two. And I think this is where Microsoft is probably gonna make its way into possibly not taking over, but rebounding from the last generation, right? The Xbox One pretty much fell on its face. And I think with them having two distinguishable consoles, similar to the 360 when it was like the arcade and the Pro, I think you're going to get a lot of people, right? Especially kids. As a parent, that's what you want to hear. My son or daughter wants a new Xbox, right? I don't really know if I want to pay $4.99 for this, but you know what? I will pay $2.99 for this console, right? Next gen console, $300. You can't beat that, right? And of course, there's a bigger difference between the the Xbox Series S and the X, and that is there are performance differences as long as not having a disk drive. So there, I think there is a better difference. You see the $2.99 versus the $4.99 compared to the PS5, where it's just $3.99 to $4.99, which is you just paying for the disk drive. So I think that's really interesting, and I think Microsoft can actually bounce back or become more of a gamers console potentially with this $2.99. Because for me, I already pre-ordered the PS5, but there are games on the Microsoft or Xbox has that I want to play, and I wasn't going to pay $4.99 for another console. I'll pay $2.99 though, and that fits perfectly, right? Because it's okay, it's not going to be my primary console, but it'll play what I want it to play. The exclusives, right? Forza, Gears of War, Halo, it'll play those. Not as smooth as the X, but it'll play those. Close to it. I forgot what the actual difference is. It's something like true 4K and 1440p, something like that. So it's not that far off, but it is far off, As far as moving forward, I think this is an interesting point in the video game console timeline, right? Having the choice to go all digital versus physical copies is gonna do one of two things for the video gaming industry, right? We all know that GameStop is already on life support, right? But with Sony charging $70 for some of their games, there's going to create another used game market. Not necessarily through GameStop, but I truly believe that, when games were $50, it was steep, but, you can go to wherever, GameStop and EB Games back in the day, $100 get you 2 games, right? That ain't bad. Looking back on it. And then they jumped up to 60. And everybody was like, okay, well, it's just $10. Well, whatever. $100 won't get you 2 games, it'll get you a new one and a used one. If you're lucky, right? And now you're talking about jumping it to 70. Well, alright, well, $70. You're starting to creep up there, right? So there's also if I go digital, it'll be cheaper. Physical copy, is it really worth it? If the digital's going to remain $59.99 or cheaper than that, I think we see where this trend is going to go. Which, for me, that kind of sucks, right? And there is not really a pocket, but there's enough video gamers out there who still prefer physical copies, right? And it's not even all games. Personally speaking, I don't get all my games physical copy. There are some that I get, I download digitally. Some of the big stuff like FIFA and 2K, I'll get a physical copy. But there's other stuff that I'll see on the PSN store. I'm like, okay, well, it's on sale. Fuck it, I'm gonna get it. So, as long as these games keep trending upward in price, I think there's gonna always, digital is gonna lean a little bit favorably because everything costs money at the end of the day. So the cheaper game is going to get bought. That's plain and simple. People can oh, it's, it's easier. I can just download it, at midnight, which is cool. But is it really that big of a difference to play it at like midnight to, let's say, like 8 o'clock in the morning when the store opens? To some people, yes. Some people, no. But the biggest difference is going to be the price. There's a big difference between $60 and $70, whether you want to believe it or not. Especially when you're talking about games that are coming out with season passes and microtransactions. There's another video we're going to do on that. There's no way these video game companies should get away with charging $70 and microtransactions, season passes and stuff. Because what's the point? What are we paying for, right? I would fully agree that games now are much more complex, and we get a lot, right? You look at Grand Theft Auto, for example, Grand Theft Auto 5. For $60, you get so much gameplay, right? You can't beat that. If you look at how many hours like the average person on GTA has played versus what it costs, pennies on the dollar. That's good return on investment. But when you talk about, okay, well, FIFA, $60 game, right? Let's take FIFA 20. $60 game. Right? Okay, I want the Ultimate Edition. $80. Or Champions League Edition, $80. Ultimate Edition, $100. And all that gets you is in-game currency to buy packs of players that only last for 1 year. These sports games have got to stop with this whole microtransaction deal business. That's another conversation for another day, though. Back to my original point with the return on investment and money. I think the Xbox can really make something shake in this current generation with a $299 console. So that'll be all for this video. Let me know what you guys are getting, your thoughts in the comments. Are you for digital? Are you against digital? What are you getting? What console are you getting? Let us know in the comments below. Like, subscribe, be easy.